I wanted to open up a discussion in a little bit of a different way. Yeah. Our fearless leader, Carol, is usually the one to start our conversations and provide us with questions and a direction. But we're kind of calling an audible on that today because Carol has had an important event happen in her life and wanted to just not pretend that hasn't happened, just go ahead and open a discussion up for so many girlfriends who love you, including us and my friend who's watching right now. So would you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so since, I guess, late 2018, my mom has had dementia. She was diagnosed the fall of 2018, and so we've been walking that heartbreaking, just long goodbye. And last time we were around these microphones, we were actually recording. I got a phone call from her nurse. She declined very quickly. That was on a Thursday, and she died on Friday night, December the 1st. And it was a long goodbye with a short ending, is how I described it earlier. And you're never ready. You think you are, and she hadn't known me for quite some time. I still remember. I can tell you exactly what I was wearing the day she asked me how long I had worked there. And that was the first kind of day that she did not know who I was. And she had COVID, and we thought she was going to pass away then, and she just battled back. She's a tough little lady. And so it's been a journey. I feel like I've been saying goodbye for a long time, but at the same time, it happened really quickly. There within the day and a half, she declined really rapidly. So, and this time of year, there's not an ideal time of year to lose anybody, but this time of year is very hard because she was very passionate about Christmas. She, was one of those who made sure we all had the same number of presents because she had 3 girls and we all had to have the same number of presents. So this time of year, it's just, we were talking because I've worked at the radio station for so long. I got a lot of time off that I have to use before the first of the year. And so I'm taking a couple of weeks off at Christmas time. And that scares me a little because I'm a people person. And, I even, confessed to you before we started today. I said, part of me wants to just close the blinds and hide. Because, as you know, you just feel lost when you don't have a home base anymore. When you're growing up, you always know that if you completely screw up your life and just make a mess of things, you can always go back home. And when that no longer exists, it's like the most unreal feeling in the world. And so, as you all know, just navigating that and trying to continue to make things special for my daughter, because it's just us now. And so I don't know what else to share.
Well,
other than
thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience because there's so many of us who feel similarly or love someone who feels similarly. And the fact that you're willing to be so vulnerable about what has gone on, thank you so much. And it is healing, as we've talked about many times with different areas of our lives. It's healing when we bring it out to the light, when we talk about it. I just want to say it's so good that you're identifying that you want to just close the blinds, but you haven't done it. Yeah. You're identifying that tendency that you've had, but you're going to fight against it. And we love you and we want to be part of this journey with you. Yeah. So.
And you were talking earlier, Tricia, actually before we started recording about things that we shouldn't do for people during the holidays. And I know for me, one of the things I want to do is say, okay, well, I'll come to your house every single day. I'm going to come to your house every day and we're going to play board games and I'm going to bring the party because I'm not going to let you get sad at all. Yeah. And that's not, from what you were reading earlier, that's not necessarily the healthiest thing for us to do for you or for other people that are your loved ones or other people that we know who have lost people. Yeah. So what is it that we can do?
Well, we were talking about this, and that's when you said, I'm going to call an audible. We need to talk about this because I think, when I got the call that Thursday and then that Friday when she passed, I was in checking things off the list mode, because I was responsible for a lot. I had to make sure everything, go pick out her outfit, go get pictures, da-da-da. You're checking the things off the list. And then my daughter actually sang at the funeral. I knew that if I lost it, that she would not make it through that song. So I was trying to be supportive for her. And she does not like to see me upset. So it's hard on her. So I was trying to be strong for her. And then, when people are coming through the receiving line saying such nice things about my mom and remembering her, I wanted to be present for that. But there was a little piece of me that was in performance mode because that's what I do, to make sure everybody's okay, to take care of. And then, God knew all this was going to happen, but my daughter was dancing at Disney in a parade. So the funeral's on Tuesday, we left on Thursday and went out of town, which was a great thing. It was a good distraction. But flying back home, I had this overwhelming sadness because there was nobody to call and tell them we got home okay. Because we would always do this stupid thing in our family. We would make a collect call to Buffy, who was our dog, and to make sure you got home okay. That was kind of the signal. Right. And just that even though, my dad died in 2018, then losing mom just December the 1st. And she's not known me for a while, so I didn't really have that, but just the finality of it, knowing that that's no longer. So I haven't really grieved, I don't think. I've been saying goodbye for a long time, but I haven't really had that come apart moment that I feel like I need to have in the days ahead. So I'm not real sure, but you were reading that and it was real helpful.
Well, just the experience of grief and how we want to run away from it when sometimes we have to embrace it. Yeah. And it is not easy to do. It's so much easier to check off the items on the list and help other people and stay busy. Yeah. Because it's very scary to think about allowing your feelings. Oh, yeah. But eventually you have to allow them. Because
they'll come out some way.
They'll come out some other way. Absolutely. And the good news is your feelings won't kill you, even though sometimes it feels like they might. Yeah. And so you're about to head into more of a quiet time, right? Because you're not going to be as busy if you're taking some time away, and the feelings will come at that time. And so I'm thinking about some of the things that help me through that. It's the idea of scheduling some of that time to grieve so that it doesn't bleed over into everything all the time. Yeah. Maybe you continue to take care of yourself with engaging in healthy behaviors like the exercise that you do and some of the therapeutic stuff that you do. Yeah. You do that, and then you say, okay, from 2 to 4, I'm going to be available to experience my feelings. And however that looks for you might be different for everybody, but allowing yourself time there and having an end time to it so that it doesn't continue to go throughout the rest of the day. And at that point, you may say a prayer to let God just help you move forward. You get up, you wash your face, and maybe you put on worship music or you do something that you're looking forward to. Yeah. Maybe meet a friend. And the tendency of staying put, closing the blinds, I understand it, but it doesn't help you. Yeah. It doesn't usually help any of us. You schedule a little bit of time, but then you get yourself something to look forward to after that time. Yeah. I know what this feels like, and it is very
But you
hard.
Also said something really powerful. You said, don't try to make them happy.
Yeah, so this was something I was reading about. If you're inviting a grieving person over for Christmas at any point, or New Year's, or February, if you're inviting someone who is grieving to a party, realize that you're inviting the grief as well, because it's going to be there. Yeah. And try not to expect that you can cheer them up that you want to help them avoid the feelings. You want to busy them or bring them enough Christmas cookies that they're not going to feel sad. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Instead, you may be putting them in a position where they feel like they have to pretend they're not feeling what they're feeling. So when you're inviting someone who's grieving, realize you're inviting the grief as well, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're allowing them to bring the experiences that they're having with them. And Carol, everywhere you go, you're going to be bringing that with you.
Yeah.
You can't leave it at home like the dog.
Right.
It's coming with you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And realize that you don't have to meet anyone's expectations of you.
Yeah.
Right? We
That's
feel like
the hardest
that is
thing.
hard.
That is the hardest thing because you feel so much responsibility. I mean, like I feel responsibility for my kid and her emotions and how she just had a complete meltdown night before last just over something minor. And I was like, oh, this is grief.
Yeah.
Like I identified that. I didn't say that to her, but we talked through it, and the thing that was bothering her, I was like, that's really not what's bothering you.
Yeah.
But okay, if that's what you want to identify, that's okay. But I think there's so much responsibility and there's part of my personality, and that you have that too. Maybe you even do too, Kelly, as a part of performance and being in front of people and engaging and making sure everybody else is okay. And I love that responsibility sometimes, but during these times, I almost feel like I have to apologize for my emotions, because I don't do emotions a whole lot. And when I do, everybody's like, what do we do with this? We're not used to crying, Carol. Yeah. So my tendency is to stuff that down and to not deal with it. But, like
that's why you want to escape.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're having to put out this false kind of a situation. But you don't have to be anything other than you hurting. Yeah. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to make other people happy. Yeah. You don't even have to make Ella happy. Yeah. Your daughter, you can't.
Right.
And so letting go of that feeling that we have to do anything or feel anything other than what we feel.
And I think the other thing that for those of us around you to remember too is that we don't have to try to make you happy. It is okay for you to grieve, and it is okay for you to feel moments of sadness, and we don't need to try to fix that, as if that's a broken thing. Right. It's not a broken thing. It is just the emotions of it. And I know for me, it's my nature and probably other people's nature too to go, hey, what can I do to help? Right. How can I make you happy? Yeah. Let's go skipping through the woods. Yeah. And, I'm going to make you laugh regardless of what I do. And those of us around you or anybody that's grieving this time of year, we need to be really sensitive to that and honor the emotions that you're going through, honor the emotions that our other folks are going through, because it's so important.
Yeah. You are a valuable, precious presence when you're crying, sad, upset, angry, confused, wondering. You are still valuable, precious presence.
And deeply loved.
I know that. I've felt that.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In fact, we were talking, and so many people that came from work and my life group and have served me so well in the days that followed, and even my sisters were talking about how impressed they were with so many people showing up, and I am so grateful that I have community, because I don't know how to do this without community. But I have felt more like emotional vulnerability because I feel like it's coming, and it's going to be I'm not going to really be able to identify when it is, but it may be in the line at the coffee shop, it may be in the grocery store, it might be at home by myself, but it's coming. And I just am, it's like, you ever been in a car accident where you're going to get hit and you kind of brace for it? You know, it's like living your life that way, braced for impact.
Yeah.
And that's what this kind of season feels like for me. I don't know if that's...
Well, like a song, a smell, like what you were saying, a little thing that reminds you, like making the phone call, just those little things kind of hit you kind of like a wave that sort of crashes over you. Maybe you were sort of expecting it, but yet it was more powerful than you thought, and it kind of takes you off your feet. And just like a wave, you kind of go with it, and you know it's going to ebb and it's going to flow and it's going to come and it's going to go, and not fighting it because you can't really fight it effectively. And just be okay with that. That is an okay thing.
And also be okay with asking for help. I know that's not something you're really comfortable with. But there are people around you who deeply love you. And if all you need is someone just to sit beside you and just sit with their mouth shut and just listen to you and let you have a shoulder to cry on, feel free to reach out to the people who are around you who will do that.
Absolutely.
Ask for help.
Let's, because I don't want this all just to be about me. I want to be vulnerable about what's going on in my life, but I don't want it. I want to get us some positive ways that we can start to move forward in dealing with grief, and especially this time of year, because I know the first thing that you want to forsake, and it happened to me this very week because I was away. And I couldn't do my regular normal things that I do for self-care and exercise and those kind of things. So it was coming back. The hardest thing was to put on my tennis shoes on Monday and go for a run, because I hadn't done that for almost, it had been a week, almost a week and a half since I'd done that. So don't forsake exercise and don't discount the ability of exercise to help you deal with your grief. I mean, if somebody would have said that to me all these years ago, I probably would have been like, oh, whatever. I don't know. But that has been true for me. Even in times when I'm not grieving, exercise is such a powerful way. It's like a medicine that helps you kind of put things into perspective and clears your mind. And I feel like I was talking to another one of our coworkers, Jeff, this morning. I said, I feel like I'm in a fog right now. Like I'll just find myself sitting, staring, like that's doing absolutely nothing. And I'll be like, how long have I been sitting here? Like, and I am such a person of production. Like I feel like I'm not worthy if I'm not producing something, you know, or doing something beneficial. And so that to me, and I had to really like argue with myself, like it is okay if you sit and stare. That's fine.
The beneficial thing you're doing is healing. And that is important for today and very important for tomorrow.
That's important work.
Yeah.
And it is
very
work.
important
It
work.
is a proactive thing. You are not going crazy. These are normal signs of grief. In a fog, being confused, not remembering names, not wanting to get up, not wanting to do things. These are
forgetting what you're doing in the middle of doing
it. Yes. These are all normal things that happen when you're grieving. It happens to everyone. And I love what you said about exercise, because it's this transfer of thinking about, a lot of times we think about exercise like I'm going to burn calories because I ate or whatever. It's not that at all. It's self-care. So we're not exercising to eat Christmas cookies. We're exercising to take care of ourselves. And once you make that shift in your mind, it's a huge shift. It's radical, and it can change everything and help you get it done so much more, because you realize you're going to feel so much better afterwards. It's just a big deal. But I wanted to say something that I also read about grieving during Christmas time. I think we feel like we're failing if we're grieving during Christmas time. Like, we're not supposed to be grieving.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes, that's exactly right, except when it's not. And Jesus died for us broken. Jesus came here into the dirt to deal with us where we are right now. Messy, broken, grieving, mourning, suffering. It's a suffering Savior. And so we think that it's supposed to be so merry and it's full of gifts and tinsel. But the real Christmas was a Savior coming down into the dirt to deal with us in our mess.
That's beautiful.
And so it's okay. We're celebrating Christmas when we mourn.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful.
Yeah, so exercise. I also had a caller yesterday. And I didn't realize how much I needed to hear what she had to say until much later in the day. But she called and she had tremendous heartbreak. She'd lost a daughter to suicide. Another one had been murdered. I mean, a tragic situation. She'd lost her sister. And she said, I was just really struggling with Christmas. And she said, I felt the Lord telling me, just go back to the basics.
Oh, yes.
Like, don't try to overwhelm yourself.
Yes.
Just go back to the basics, the things that you know to be true, and hang out there until you can do more. You know, I have found over the last couple of days, even weeks, I'm having a hard time reading large portions of Scripture. Nothing says I have to read large portions of Scripture. I read through the Bible every year, or have for the last 3 or 4 years, and I was beating myself up the other day because I've missed a couple of days because schedule and planning and just the chaos that happens when you lose someone. And I was seeing how many, because it tells you how many days you've missed.
Oh, I know. The Bible
and I was
app?
like, it's the Bible app. And I was like, oh man, do I count this as a success because I've missed these days? You know what I'm saying? And even today, as I was reading, I was like, I literally am reading words, but I can't tell you what I read 10 minutes later.
That's okay.
And that phone call came back to me, and Keena said, you just go back to the basics. 1 or 2 verses is all you need. You know, just dwell there and be okay with that, you know. So her wisdom for me anyway in that moment was go back to the basics, the things that you know are true. Whether in your relationship with God, spend time praying, spend time in His Word, but don't beat yourself up thinking you're not doing the volume that you used to, because volume is you're not going to get to heaven and God's going to say, well, you didn't read but 1 chapter that day or 2 verses, or
that's something we made up.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so give yourself grace in that. Give yourself grace in the fact that it may not be the most wonderful time of the year for you.
Are you telling yourself this now?
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Good.
And I mean, I make no bones about it. I don't know how this is going to go because I've never been in this place before, you know. You just never are ready. Yeah. You're just never ready. Even though I said goodbye to my mom a long time ago, this still just the finality of it. Yesterday, I drove past the exit where she was at, and I just completely was like, I don't even remember the next 15 minutes of my drive. Like I was like, who drove that? Because it must have been Jesus. Because I don't remember getting home. I just remember pulling up the driveway and being like, oh, I didn't get off the exit there. You know, things like that. I'm trying to give myself some grace, and I'm going to try to ask for help. I would say, okay, the physical exercise, go back to the basics. Ask for help when you need it.
Schedule grief.
Give
yourself grace.
Let me just say this. And I'm saying this to myself because I struggle with this. I'll just be 100% honest and vulnerable about this. We think that not asking for help is strength. It's actually weakness.
Yeah.
It's pride.
Yeah.
And so when I don't ask for help, that's postponing my healing. Because I'm not getting the help that I need. And I'm just getting to that realization. And that applies to grief of any kind, because I know I went through a grief process when my marriage ended. That was another grief. I mean, it may not be necessarily someone dying in your life. It could be the loss of a job or the loss of a spouse or the loss of a relationship, a friendship. So don't kid yourself thinking you're being strong when you're just being prideful because you don't want to bother anybody. There are people around who want to help and who want to give you love and support.
Yep.
So that's my other thing. Anything else that y'all would add? I also would add this. Don't be afraid to enjoy some things.
Yeah, that is true.
Don't feel like you can't feel joy during the Christmas
season. You're letting them down because you're smiling today.
I went through a huge guilt trip. I think we even talked about this, about going to Disney after she had passed. Her funeral's on Tuesday. We left on Thursday. And I was like, I don't think I should go.
Yeah.
I almost felt guilty for going to celebrate something with my kid because my mom had just passed. It was a good distraction, but boy, did reality hit when we got back, So don't be afraid to enjoy some things.
Yeah. In fact, find something to enjoy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because enjoying things is important. And it's what your loved one would want.
Yeah.
Your loved one loved you.
Mm-hmm.
Your mama loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And she would want you to have fun.
Yeah. Anything else that y'all would add to the list of things that
just keep going? Don't
keep
close
going.
your don't close your blinds.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Be gentle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be gentle
Be
with yourself.
gentle with yourself.
So good.
It is. It is okay.
Yeah.
It is okay. It is okay.
It is.
And I went to Grief Share just the other day, our last Grief Share, because my dad, this will be our first Christmas without my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave us a poem that was so lovely. And I'm not going to remember it. And it was rhyming and it was so cute, but it was just like, wipe away your tear because I'm spending Christmas with Jesus Christ this year.
Mm.
And it was just a lovely reminder.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the ones hurting. We are.
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because grief is love that has nowhere to go.
Mm.
And so those tears are okay.
Yeah.
It's just an outward sign of love escaping your face.
Yeah.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
And as friends and people who love someone who's grieving, be okay with that too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. And I want you to know that this is a community that loves and supports you. This is not just about me. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling with, I want you to know that we love you, that we want to walk alongside you. You're always welcome to email us, girltalk@thelightfm.org. Get in touch on the Girlfriends page, on the Girl Talk podcast page, Facebook page. However you want to get in touch, we would love to hear from you. Know that you are loved. I'm so glad. I have been the beneficiary of so many friends reaching out on Facebook, so many Instagram, so many, text messages. It's just been a treat to me to hear from you and to know that you're praying for me and my family. So thank you for that. Know that we're praying for you too. And if there's any way at all that we can serve you, please let us know. And we will see you next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.